My dearest Lara, I often think about the shame I have brought upon our family's name. Croft. What does it even mean?
When I was young, it was just my father and I. In his last years, he was obsessed with myths about immortality.
I may have found the next piece to the puzzle, but they're following me. I know them by name now. Trinity.
Of course, no one believed him, including me.
It's me! Hannah! I'm so sorry. Dad was right. The tomb's in Syria. Syria? This is madness.
As I walk through poison sands, through flames of burning lands, my feet are torn, they're torn to strands. I will not thirst.
And I saw something. I realized my father was right.
Who the hell are you?
I suspect you already know.
Trinity.
They're calling out, they're calling out my name.
I led them to it, Jonah. The divine source is real. We've got to find it first.
Siberia it is then.
Someday, you're going to make such a mark on this world.
Again and again.
I swear these trailers are getting longer and longer. I was thinking we were just going to play the whole trailer for the entire hour or so. So welcome everyone to yet another edition of AAA Anonymous. I'll try and explain what that actually means in a few seconds, but thanks for joining us. We are OPNoobs. We can be found at OPNoobs.com just to get that positioning stuff out of the way. And today, as if you couldn't tell, we are going to be talking about Rise of the Tomb Raider. But first, let's go through all the people that are here today. Caitlin, let's start with you, since, you know, it's Lara Croft and you're apparently the only woman here, so who are you, and what do you do for the team?
I write, I do a little bit of everything, and my name is Caitlin.
Yay! To get myself out of the way, in case you've ever seen any of the interviews or many of the interviews that we do with developers, my name's Steven, Slave to the Machine. I'm sorry to be here. You have to deal with me. Sorry. Eli, how you doing?
He's okay.
He started celebrating before we got here, so...
Way before, like an hour and a half before.
Don't speak, Eli. Just smile.
Eli, who and or what are you, and why are you here?
Well, okay, so I do some review writing. I initially also signed on as doing live streaming, you know, stuff to work on over time, though.
Can we pause right now and keep this thing, get this thing completely off topic, straight up? What are you reviewing right now, Eli?
Yeah.
Right now I'm reviewing Bombshell.
And how about it?
Well, it's not as good as I was hoping for. It could use some more work.
You've heard of this, Steven, right?
Bombshell? Yeah, I've heard of a lot of bombshells. You know, A-bombs, F-bombs. Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with bombs. Caitlin.
Eli, is the female main character in that game as badass as she looks in the trailer?
You know, I think the character, yeah, but the way the gameplay itself causes a problem.
Okay. And Ben, since you haven't said a word yet, thankfully, Ben, who are you and why are you here?
I'm Ben. I'm just one of the writers at OPNoobs, soon to be editing as well. And my current review is actually this game. So I've been playing it, getting ready to start working on that.
So you're going to be a little bit biased in these conversations. And finally, the guy that just couldn't keep silent, and the only person that I think has ever supported an NGO would be Fred. Fred.
Hi.
That would be Fred, the illustrious leader, the grand high poobah of this whole OPN thing. Fred, how you doing?
It feels so weird to be like on the other side of the show now, where you actually have to beg for your mercy and let me talk.
No.
The sweet revenge coming my way from the great Steven Stanisiewski.
Well,
I raised my hand.
Before we got started, we took a little poll to see which one of us was the biggest fascist, and apparently, if nobody's played the game yet, you have to fight against a paramilitary organization, a merc group called Trinity, and we're going to get into the plot in just a few moments. But of everybody on this call, Fred supports Trinity, which is interesting.
I didn't say I supported Trinity. I said that's kind of sympathetic to their cause. To some, I feel like they're. Well,
You did say it.
Yeah, I did say
it. You said it.
We'll get into why. But thanks for having me on the show.
Interesting. That's gonna be great. So we have Eli, we got Fred, we got Ben, we got Caitlin. Anybody that might be in the chat, if you're watching, we're actually paying attention. So if you want to yell at us, that's cool. If you want to throw any questions out, in case nobody's gotten a chance to play the game yet, it released on Friday, 28th, 29th, and a lot of us have been just burning through it. I think between all of us, we've got maybe 65, 70 hours going, I think. But any questions that you might have...
Caitlin alone has that much, I think.
Caitlin she's been going through pretty hard.
How many hours clocked on Steam, Caitlin?
I have something almost 40 because I went back and did every detail.
Lucky her, man.
I wish I had that time to waste.
Oh, geez. I'm only at 8.
Yeah, I'm on 8 too, Ben. I'm right behind you, actually. I'm on 7.
I totally ignored any of the side questing type stuff.
Same.
They're good. They're good side quests.
I wanted to focus just on the main story with a little bit of exploration. I was more or less trying to see if I could break the game, and boy, did I break the game in a couple of instances.
I broke the game hardcore by cheating on a separate playthrough.
So you already jumped right into the cheating. Great, wonderful.
Well, on a separate playthrough. I have the normal playthrough where I'm doing everything correctly, and then I have the other one where I am getting unlimited everything.
Well, so anyway, let's start with builds, because one of the interesting things about the old Tomb Raider games is that you didn't need a build. You didn't need to worry about anything. You pretty much just had ammo, you pointed, you shot, that's it. Now, however, since apparently Laura is 2 parts Rambo, 1 part Robin Hood, and about 17 more parts Batman, which I'll get into my complaints about that in a little bit. Everybody's got their own play style this time around. So when you're playing as Laura, you can go at it stealthy, or you can just go in guns blazing. You will very quickly get killed if you're not smart about it, but you can go in guns blazing. So, Caitlin, since you apparently have all the hours, what build did you start with, and have you stuck with that the whole way through? And we're going to go around the table, so everybody's going to get a chance to babble.
Well, in the last game, the first one, I went guns blazing, so this time I really tried for a stealth build, which was a personal challenge to myself. And on the difficulty that I played on, headshots are pretty much the only way you're going to take anyone down early game. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much went with all bow all the time, only bow, and stealth kills from the bushes. But see, the thing is, 40 hours into this game, I've gone back to every level, so now I don't have a build anymore. I have every talent except for, 5.
I was about to say, Steven, actually, that's kind of how I felt even with the 2013 title. That it's not, you're really prioritizing. You're not really building, it's not like in Fallout where you're really going for a specific fit. I feel like Tomb Raider, at the end of the day, you're gonna get most of them. You don't even need to be that much of a completionist. You're gonna get 75-80% of the perks, at least in the 2013 title. And Caitlin kind of just confirmed.
I went almost all into Survival Hunter. The only one I won't take is the headshot indicator skill because I think it's cheating and it's not cool.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I just to jump in for a bit, no, I can't really agree with that. You can focus, you can be slanted toward one weapon over another. So when I say build, I'm saying what is your personal preference? You do have to be pretty well rounded, but Eli, go for it since you're chomping at the bit there.
I just wanted to say the headshot indicator is one thing, but there's the whole there's the whole other ability that converts body shots with the bow and arrow into headshots automatically. Which, I mean, the headshot indicator is just the thing, where it changes the crosshair. But the other one is automatically giving you headshots.
Eli told me about it, and I started cheating.
See, that's what I mean. Even she goes for that.
The drawback to it is that you have to sit there fully aimed and fully charged for a couple seconds while they're throwing grenades at you and shooting you.
Yeah, but I think it's more intended for before the battle actually starts, when you have that stealth moment where you can point at them for a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, it's much easier in the heat of the battle to just, line up the reticle, shoot. You don't want to be holding on to the mouse like that, ever, I think.
Or you can honestly just pop out of the bushes, fire off an arrow, and then drop back down, which is kind of the...
No, because they can shoot into the bushes.
They can shoot into the bushes, but if they aim and you peel off a shot real quick, it won't matter. That's the best part. Eli, what have you been doing with the game? You start not counting the insane God mode lore that you've got going on.
I'm not gonna count the thing with me cheating. That was for experimentation, just to see what I liked for other stuff.
Everybody's got to go through that phase. It's totally okay.
Okay, but I have been focusing largely on crafting because that lets me actually use that as a way to get more experience to build into other stuff, and it gives me more options as I'm playing through. But the pistol and the silencer are always my main thing because the pistol is way more accurate than it should be in a realistic sense, and the silencer means that I can sneak around and kill people without being noticed, and it's fun as all hell, and I fucking love it.
Fred, what in the hell are you doing in game? What weapons are you focusing on? What kind of skills are you focusing on as well?
So one of the things that surprised me with the 2013 release is how much I ended up liking the weapon that I thought I would like least, and it's the bow. That bow, especially because of all the perks, I don't know if I'm gonna find them in this title. I've got about 7 hours clocked in right now. So I also appreciate, on a side note, the fact that the weapons seem to roll in at a much slower pace than in the 2013 game. And so you really get to savor each a little bit more. And that's something I'm enjoying. But I'm pretty damn sure that I'm gonna finish up on the bow again and again. So I'm stacking up all my perks as soon as I can get into the bow development, the headshots, even the perks to get the 2 headshots with 1 arrow. I got that ASAP. I saw that. I was like, that's amazing. I got headshot fever too, and I'm somewhat I'm playing the game in hard mode right now, and because of what Caitlin and Eli told me, actually, that normal is really, really easy and really not all that fun. So hard mode is a little bit more complex. It's a lot of fun with the bow and the headshots. I'm really digging the action, man. I'm like, this game rocks my world right now.
Yeah, so that's one thing that I have to mention is that in the past Tomb Raider games, like I had said, there wasn't really much in the way of skill necessary. It's pretty much just pull up the guns and shoot. You can pretty much play this whole game thinking that you're Robin Hood, or, as was mentioned before we started, as Hawkeye. But who the hell would want to be Hawkeye? It's Green Arrow or nothing. Ben, what kind of setup do you have going on?
So I've been sort of doing the way Fred has gone, where I'm kind of playing around the weapons that I get as they give them to me. So I started out all with the bow, and then I progressed to the pistol, which, like Eli said, is just, once you get the silencer, it's just broken. Everything is really broken, but I went into, once you get the assault rifle, I spent the next 2 hours just being John Rambo and just killing everything I saw. Then I went back to the bow, because the bow is really satisfying. Seems like they've taken a lot of the good things that other games with bows like Far Cry and such have done and made it really satisfying. As far as build, it's done pretty well. I was actually really disappointed that it was sort of like, when you do challenge tombs, you get a skill, right? But you can't take them off. And I got a skill that completely makes it so I can't use the double headshot one. I got the one that lets you fire a second successive arrow, which is pretty useless, honestly. They're always
that goes against the headshot.
Yeah, I can't do the double headshot.
It doesn't. You have to hold it for a really, really long time.
No, it even says it on the skill that you cannot use this in conjunction with the double headshot.
You can't use them at the same time. You can use one or the other. They have different triggering things. I have that too, and I have double, triple headshots.
I would definitely get a fact check on that, Ben.
Okay,
since you're writing the review, we want to make sure, because if it's true, then I completely agree with you. That's messed up, because I just got that perk, and I know exactly the perk from the tomb you're talking about. I was excited about combining both. I was excited to go mad in, headshots, double arrows, get 4 at a time.
I know.
I was starting to dream it in my head, but...
Be like Robin Hood Men in Tights and just have, 5 arrows notched all at the same time, just fire them off.
I haven't had a problem, Ben. I don't know. I've been...
Then you'll have to feed me the info later, but...
Maybe Ben's just a terrible shot.
I got really greedy, and I went to every single challenge tomb that exists, and I did them all. So I have every perk.
I tend to feel like the game right now is I'm relatively good at it, and I usually suck at pretty much all games I play. Am I just getting good, or do you guys feel like it's kind of easy to go into stealth mode, approach a scene, and get everybody by the head without really triggering anything? Because I'm playing in hard mode, and I'm wiping the map. I'm wiping a map without having anyone kind of react or see me come through, and I'm thinking, God, Fred, wow.
I hate
it's harder.
I hate to try and rain on your parade, Fred, although it's very fun to do so. I will say I think it's just a coincidence in this case. I think it's still fairly hard for people, but at the same time, I think it's more that you're just happening upon luck in your fights.
You guys were just listening to me rage.
So it's neither. You're telling me you're not getting any better, Fred, and at the same time, it's not that the game is easy. It's just you're getting lucky.
It's not that you suck, it's that you suck in other games, but maybe you're just really less suck in this one.
Yeah,
no,
it's just
luck in this one.
Have you been forced, though? There are a lot of scenes, Fred, where you are forced to not be in stealth, where everybody sees you immediately the moment you pass through this gate, and now 10 people are shooting at you. How are you going to handle that, Fred?
He's going to get shot, of course.
I don't know. By the way, something you did not say, Steven, which is kind of important, we're giving Tomb Raider 2013 away.
Yeah. It's almost like we have that in the title, but yes, we are giving away. Go ahead, Fred.
Tomb Raider 2013 midway into the game, and then at the end of the show, which we'll keep short. It's not going to be a 3-hour show. We're going to keep it to 75 minutes. We're going to give Rise of the Tomb Raider away. That's right. We're going to give the game away.
Both games.
I think that's the biggest giveaway we've ever had. To somebody in the chat. Somebody that's not on the video call, obviously. Somebody in the chat this time.
Maybe. I don't know.
We all have it.
And
so we don't need
not
it.
Stitch Woot.
No,
not Stitch Woot.
Notice how Fred playing.
He can already play the game if he wants to, so he doesn't need that shit.
Well, see, the best part is that Fred had to make it clear that we're going to keep this short after we got done saying, Fred, it's not that you suck, it's that you suck everywhere else. But I've run into a lot of interesting bugs and glitches. I love the game, first off. This is the first Tomb Raider game I've played since '98. So I totally missed. I totally missed the 2013 game. I have it. It's in my backlog. I haven't touched it.
The nostalgia effect must be huge.
It is a huge, huge deal. It's funny because Laura was always a badass in those older games. I mean, there was a plot, but we really didn't care. It was we got into the area and we just shot everything that moved. And then when I heard about the way she was presented in the reboot in 2013, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'd be interested. Now she's come full circle. She's a serious badass. She's pulling off stunts that she should not be able to do in good conscience. Not to give it away, but within the first 10 minutes, you face down a big ass bear.
Still best. Still best scene. Still the best scene today.
And you just get knocked to the side.
It was not in the first 10 minutes.
15, 20 minutes. It depends on how fast you are.
You have to explore the whole valley scene and you skip stuff.
Can I make a quick note, because everybody talks about the graphics, and it's true, the graphics are. I'm playing this thing at max settings, and I don't think I've ever played a game that pretty. But something that people don't mention is the sound quality of Tomb Raider. Like if you're playing with like expensive headsets like this, when that bear approaches and just starts roaring in your face, man, there's nothing
the sound effects are amazing, just all of them. Yeah,
it's absolutely wow. Like the quality that you get from this game when you play, it's hats off to all the sound technicians, like the sound designers, whatever you call them.
You know, the funny thing is, I've never been a big fan of sequels in general, and the gaming industry loves them some sequels. They love sequels. But the thing is, this is probably the first one I've ever played that doesn't feel like a sequel. I'm not really getting any nasty, we've done it type of feeling from this. This feels like it's a standalone. Like if Laura was Indiana Jones, this is a standalone movie as far as I'm concerned. It does have some throwbacks to the previous game. It has some throwbacks to family that I've never heard of in the mythos before, but it's explained very quickly, and you don't take a train to Exposition City where they're taking 20-30 minutes to explain who this person is.
Just one quick thing, Caitlin, it throws you in the groove the moment you start the game. And that's what I love about it, because there's so many games, it's an acquired taste. This one, the moment you start, you're just in it. And it's a beautiful thing, Caitlin.
All right, on the topic of sequels, I was mentioning this earlier on TeamSpeak, but I feel that the Tomb Raider franchise is one that is made for sequels that don't feel exhausting. I mean, as a kid, I played through at least 4 or 5 sequels, maybe 6. And they did get kind of bad towards the end sometimes, but right now, I feel like each one is its own contained story, and that is the way that you do a sequel in a franchise that's about a character, not about a plot.
Yeah, I'm really, really impressed with the way Square Enix has actually handled this. I was kind of cringy at first, but I was cringing when they got a hold of Deus Ex, and that turned out to be one of my favorite games ever. And
They're killing it.
I really do feel like Rise of the Tomb Raider is going to be one of those for me as well. It's the most gorgeous game I have seen, bar none. If this is where graphics are now, my God, I can only imagine where they're going to be, end of second quarter this year.
I almost went and got a third NVIDIA 980 just because I was so excited about the graphics.
I will say though, despite how beautiful the graphics are at times, I have encountered moments where it's startlingly bad.
It's true. A stark contrast. It's true. I've noticed the same thing.
I'm fairly sure it was a glitch, but at one point I actually saw 3D models where there was a texture that showed up that looked like PlayStation 1 graphics. And I think it's because the level of detail, for whatever reason, the level of detail settings glitched out, and it was showing me what it should have been showing from a quarter mile away.
But somehow
it was just like this flat pixely texture that didn't look like anything.
But I really do feel like you said, that some scenes are super, super polished. It's the cutscenes. I've never seen a character so expressive. It's amazing. And then some scenes you're in the snow most of the time when it kind of gets Her foot doesn't really step well on the snow. Graphically, it starts getting a lot more pixelized.
Overall, the textures and the individual textures are just amazing. Like the clothing is unbelievably good.
Oh yeah, you saw the Jonas cape like this. Everything is
I am so glad that we didn't stick with the real face technology that LA Noire came out with, because these faces actually look human. You've got some of that uncanny valley look on some scenes, but I will say this is probably one of those games where I've never seen a cutscene transition so smooth as what happens in game.
Steven, I sound like a fanboy right now.
You do,
but that's okay. But hear me out. I've been basically saying since I started OPNoobs on Twitch without any shame that I didn't think video games were a good medium for storytelling. I've said it over and over just because I've always felt like when you look at the characters, you never feel the dimension behind the character because they feel a little bit rigid, or it never really pulls you in. It's always more about the gameplay. This is the game that proves me wrong in all ways. She's so expressive. I'm in the story. Like, I'm listening and I want to find out what happens because it's so realistic. And just like you said, in a way that doesn't feel like reality, like a TV or just a real character. It is a video game, but she's so realistic at the same time that I'm completely pulled into the storyline. So like you say, if that's the direction graphics are taking, then I'm changing my angle that, yes, I believe video games can be a great medium for storytelling.
Fred, you never got into Silent Hill, did you?
Oof. No, it's one game I've missed the train on.
See,
that's the problem.
You should play Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 will show you that storytelling in games can be
But don't
beautiful.
do it on PC, because the only time you'll get Silent Hill 2.
No, Silent Hill 2 on PC, you can actually get better resolution.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Not the remastered one. Please do not touch that Silent Hill remastered HD set, because that was bad.
Play the PC one. That was still the original version of it. And you'll get the higher resolution on it. You'll get the amazing storytelling in it, and it'll be beautiful.
It'll be confusing. It's like a David Lynch film. You won't understand it till like the last 20 minutes, but you'll get it. But that being said, it's funny you mentioned about the expressiveness and the abilities that she has, because physicality, I think, is through the roof with this version of Laura. Everybody said in the reboot that she was just basically getting her ass kicked every single scene, and that kind of happens here, but there's a really good reason she had that breast reduction after the 90s, because I don't think she'd be able to pull off half the stunts that she can now in game.
You got the breast reduction, huh?
Yeah, and if you take a look at the old 90s games, her character model was blessed, let's say. And I don't know how.
Oh, I remember.
I don't know.
I think I was a kid, so I was doing it. There was a way to see her naked in game. Like
there was
that was with a mod.
That was a mod.
That was a mod.
Yeah.
We got that.
But that being said, Laura got beaten from pillar to post in the 2013 game. Now she's a lot more of a badass. I mean, she was a badass in that game, if judging from everything that I've seen. But here, she's really gotten into the swing of things. She can handle weapons. She can climb. She can crawl. I think she's been nearly blown up 7 times, and that was just in the title screen alone. She has a lot of nasty stuff that happens to her. Not getting into the plot, but she takes a lot of falls that she should be dead from. So is she made out of rubber at this point?
I have a question actually for the people who've been more in the game, who've got more hours in the game already. One of the things I didn't like in the 2013 reboot, and I'm not the only one, it's been criticized some, is the fact that sometimes the gameplay was too automated. So, you were going through these semi-cutscenes and you had to press a button left and right every 10-15 seconds, and the game would just evolve that way for a couple minutes, and it felt completely fabricated. It felt like it was almost unnecessary. I feel like they've reduced that, or at least they've dealt with that a lot better in this title, but then I've only got a couple hours in, so Caitlin,
It's completely eliminated. Those stupid cutscenes that you had to press buttons along to, they just made everything active. Everything is based on your skill, whether or not you know when to, I don't know, throw your axe out and, climb, whether you know when to jump. They just make it so that it's faster than you can keep up with. But there are no button mashing cutscenes unless there's one. There's one whenever you get caught by an animal. You have to mash back and forth.
I'm fine
to,
with that.
Get out from under them.
Actually, if you're caught by an animal, just let it happen. Just let it happen.
And also, it's one last thing, Stephen. It's kind of relevant because it's also the same criticism that I was talking to Caitlin on TeamSpeak about. On top of that, I was also mentioning the fact that I felt like the 2013 release, not enough tombs, not enough of the vibes. Like there
was no rating.
Yeah, like you were outside all the time, way too much. And this one, it's like they heard me. You start and you get into this massive, beautiful, absolutely stunning tomb. It's the very first spot you go to, and then after that, it's just epic environment after epic environment. I am delighted. I'm having a blast, like I'm 12 years old on my PlayStation 1.
And the environments that aren't in caves are also just fantastic. I don't know if you've gotten to the Soviet Gulag area yet. Yeah, that area is unbelievably good. It's awesome.
That area is Eli's bane, actually. Eli, you want to tell us about your problems there?
I think he drank most of the problems before we got on here, come to think of it.
I drank the problems away before we got here, but that's not the point. The point is that as soon as I got to where the cliff where you're overlooking the Soviet gulags, my frame rate dropped down to like 5 frames a second on the spot. As soon as I could see those fucking buildings in the distance, it just...
Yeah, I had to turn things down as soon as I loaded in there.
It's weird.
I didn't have a problem.
Horrible frame rate.
I only had one drop, and that was... Oh God, how do I say it without spoiling anything? It was in a tomb, and I was raiding, and I got close to the end of the area, and then as she was turning, it dropped to like 2 frames a second, then it popped right back up. But that was after
Can we talk about computer specs and frame rates?
Yeah, let's do that. Fred, you're running a server, so we don't even need to talk about you.
Well, actually, I'm surprised. I'm averaging, like at max settings, I'm averaging 45 to 60 frame rates. Most of the time it's toward the 60s, but I do drop in the 45s to 50s quite often, and it's never happened to me before. I'm almost not used to it.
Titans, right?
Yeah,
right.
I've got a pair of 980s.
Oh, 980s. Okay. Eli, what are you running that you were having the frame rate drop? And what level of quality were you on?
Okay, so first of all, I'm on an i5 3570K or whatever. It was the top of the line as far as Ivy Bridge went when that came out, and I'm running on a 970 video card. Initially, I started off on max settings in the game, and as soon as I hit that gulag, it started to chug like crazy. I had to drop the settings down. And I have continuously, like, at times had to keep dropping the settings down a little more because it gets more intense over time. And I'm kind of surprised because I'm also running on 32 gigs of RAM at the same time. So I'm really surprised because, like, an i5 is essentially the same as an i7 except that it doesn't use hyper-threading.
Right.
So
I think it also says something about our industry, doesn't it? It's that, like, games are always going to push to the edge the technology that currently exists that you just bought. And if your technology is a year old and you don't have everything around, like, spec'd up, just like you don't have the 980, you don't have the Titan, you have the 970, and here comes the next game, and it's basically giving something that's a $500 piece of hardware, a challenge to run. And that's also what's amazing about PC, I think.
So while that might be also true, just as a test, I mean, I'm running an i7 4720 processor with a 970M. Yes, I'm gaming on a laptop, and it looks friggin' amazing.
Me too. Same exact rig.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
So
and it looks amazing, and even for temperature reasons, dropping down to medium, it still looks amazing. I thought, man, it's gonna look horrible when I dropped it, and then it didn't, and I'm like, well, why put it back up?
yeah, so this is the interest. So if we can make Eli feel even worse, I'm just kind of amused that I dropped all my settings to the lowest it could possibly be, turned everything off. It was still very good looking. It actually looked kind of like PS2 era graphics, which actually no, I'm sorry, it looked more PS3-ish. But Eli,
to be fair,
yeah,
I've had enough to drink. You're not going to make me feel bad like that. You're going to have to try.
Drinking. Okay, but
I'm out of booze right now. I have to get.
You poor thing. But anyway,
it's time for the giveaway.
We should give stuff away, shouldn't we? Go ahead.
Which one are we giving away right now?
So the way it's gonna work is we don't have Alucard's fancy tool because he's obviously not on the stream, and I'm handling the production tonight. So we're gonna ask the fancy, the fantastic, the phenomenal Caitlin Manka to think of a number. Caitlin, you're gonna think of a number between 1 and 100. Caitlin, do you have that number?
Yes.
Caitlin, are you sure about that number?
Yes.
And we're gonna ask everybody in chat to put a number between 0 and 100 for a copy of Tomb Raider 2013. Now let me remind you that Eli Ross is responsible for delivering this copy. Eli Ross, do you feel capable of delivering a Steam key right now on Twitch?
I might be drunk, but I am capable of delivering the key. But Stitchwoot is not eligible.
Stitchwood, you can forget it. People are rolling. Yes, please start rolling now for a copy of Tomb Raider 2013. This is the reboot. We'll be giving Rise of the Tomb Raider at the end of the show. And we're going to give it another 10 seconds before the numbers are down. Caitlin, please obviously look at the numbers because you're going to be giving out who the winner is. And we're going to
don't change the number either.
Another 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. It's a lot less fun than Alucard's fancy machine of...
Way less fun.
2, 1. Caitlin, and the lucky winner of the Tomb Raider 2013 reboot is...
It looks like Black Pete, and I'll tell you what number I picked. I picked 96 after the year that it first came out, the first Tomb Raider.
Oh, damn.
Nice.
Paris.
Paris Forge, acting editor-in-chief. He stole your job, Steven. He
can have it.
The guy who took your job gets...
No. We can't give it to... Yeah, Paris got... He got...
Yeah, he already has it.
Didn't he get it last show?
Can't give him that one.
Alright, so next closest.
Next, Paris, you're a cheater.
Next closest is...
Paris, you suck.
Looks like Chris Kellogg is the next closest to 96.
No, you can't give it to the VP. He has access to it on the Steam account.
Just as a heads up, guys, we don't normally renege what we say we're going to do, but we're going to do it in this case. So who's the third runner-up?
Who's the third?
Turn to the can, whoever that is. They picked 62?
Turn to the cam. I will get you the key to the game.
Congratulations, Turn to the cam.
But you've got to stay until the whole thing is over.
No, give it to him now. Poor guy. Have some mercy.
I picked a bad number. Sorry.
You have to listen to me talk another 45 minutes.
But if he sticks around, he might get the second game too. So there's actually...
I think that's the question. What's his name? Turn to the can. You can either take this game and not be eligible for the last one, or you can turn around for this game, give it to the next person, and be eligible for the last one. We'll let you decide, and we'll move on to the next topic. Steve
Really should hold on until Rise of the Tomb Raider, because honestly, if you're gonna try and get a key from this stream, it's seriously gonna want to be Rise of the Tomb Raider. I admitted at the top of this that I did not play the reboot, but I saw that there were enough differences between the reboot gameplay that I saw and this game. Is it fair to say that this game pretty much fixes everything, every complaint people had about the 2013 reboot?
Yeah. Everything I wanted, I got.
Caitlin's a total fangirl. She should not reply that. Benjamin should take that one.
I will say not completely.
No, give it to Eli first. Go ahead, Eli.
There are some issues that I personally feel like should be worked on. Optimization is definitely one serious issue, because obviously some of the slowdown I've been seeing is way more than it should be. Like, especially considering it gets progressively worse as the game goes along. Like I was telling Caitlin before, they have kind of a fixation on specific action sequences, especially where you're running along something and everything is falling apart underneath you.
Stop criticizing that. You're not the first person who. A lot of people. These are good scenes. I'm enjoying. I don't want people. I don't want.
They're good scenes, but
when everything falls to crap and you're just running, it's fun.
They're good scenes, but when it happens for the millionth time,
yeah.
Only the seventh time.
The one where you're underwater and you have to get out from underwater, and you're just rushing. It's beautiful. I mean,
my concern though is that if they keep doing that, if they keep focusing on that, it's going to wind up being crappy. It's going to wind up being something people don't want to play through anymore.
No, because I think I completely disagree, because I feel like Tomb Raider balances out. It's a lot better than Assassin's Creed and all that other stuff. Like just great balancing between this type of scenes, exploration mode when you're trying to figure out a tomb, then action scene, then completing side quest, going gathering. It's just a good balance that always kind of change the pace, but in a way that the frequency is good and it keeps. No, it's. I disagree.
I can understand where you're coming from that, and like I was telling Caitlin, like I have found that the scenes are fun so far, but I worry that because they seem so fixated on that if they keep doing that, then it will get to the point where people will just get tired of it. Because, if you do it so many times, then it's just like, okay, move on to the next thing. I don't want to keep doing that every single time a thing comes up. I want to move on to something else. I want something else to catch my interest. And that's been something
that's my point.
Well, it catches you, but
it only lasts so long until you're actually doing something completely different.
Let's hear from a different camp on this one. Caitlin, what's your thoughts on it?
As someone who binged it like a Netflix original, I feel that it's not so bad. The thing is, I don't ask myself, why is the map falling apart as I'm running? I ask myself, like, why am I running? What am I running from that the map is falling apart? Is it an avalanche? Are people shooting fire at me? Are they, like, throwing cannons at me? There are always a different reason for you to be running like a madman. And I think that they've really stepped up their game and made it so that you have better reasons to be running like that.
Ben.
I think that's a lot that I can agree to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards what Eli was saying. I'm not saying it's a bad game at all. I'm enjoying it a lot. But there's a little bit of that oversaturation of the game is always like up here in terms of intensity level. Like everything's falling to crap around you, or even the way Lara talks. Every time she talks, she sounds like she's out of breath, which sometimes she is out of breath because she's been jumping around doing crazy stuff. Yeah. But sometimes, I remember a couple times she was just standing there, and then someone comes in the room, and then she's just like, "Oh, thank God you're here!" and blah blah blah.
I thought the same thing.
She sounds like she just ran a 5K. Like, the game is intentionally trying to make the user feel like, "Oh, this is so exciting, so exhilarating. I'm up to here." It's kind of what like big action blockbuster movies do. They try to make you have a good, exciting time by keeping the entertainment on the screen like always turned up to 11.
But when you think about it, though, realistically, like if they want to keep your attention, not intention, if they want to keep that in any given game, they have to give you those moments where your attention can wander a little bit. They have to give you downtime between those. And when you're going for something that you want to seem particularly epic compared to other stuff, you have to space them out even more. you have to be careful about the pacing of how often you do certain things. And that's why I say I worry that if they keep doing those action sequences where you have to run through something as fast as you can while everything is falling down around you, that eventually people are just going to be turned off by it.
So question. I do have a question for you then.
Yes.
You guys were mentioning desperate Laura, how she's always desperate, how she's always out of breath, how she's always freaking out. How do you feel that compares to classic Tomb Raider? Because in 1 and 2, I'm going to use as an example because a lot of people played them, she does call people. She does talk to people sometimes. There are cutscenes. And she is always calm, cool, and collected, like ice. This woman can't be phased.
Yeah, but she's calling her like a woman. I mean, was she even a real character back then? She was. Was there a story that anybody cared about?
There was, yeah.
I mean, sort of, but
there was a plot, but no one cared at that time.
She actually feels like a real person, and I really like that. I mean, yeah, there's a few times that it sounds a little bit unbelievable, but at least she sounds like she has a personality here.
The opening of this game is such a callback to the very first game that ever came out, too. Like walking in these mountains of snow. If you remember to the very first game ever, that's where she was. She was in a different country, but there was snow, and her partner got eaten by wolves. Here she is again, hiking with a partner in the snow.
And it happens all the time. You go out, you want to walk, just minding your own business. Wolf comes up, eats your throat.
And the storyline I really enjoy because it's not too heavy. The game is mostly focused on gameplay, but at the same time there's a lot of poetry to the storyline. The fact that it starts off just the big picture is pretty much this. Okay, so you have this. You're looking for life after death. Basically, it's the eternal soul. And in this grand picture, something completely disconnected from her personal life and the things she's gone through, she's connecting with her father, which I feel like her father is dead. That's not a spoiler. We know it. And
not anymore.
Well, her father is dead, and this is a story that's supposed to connect them both. And obviously, do you see what I'm saying? Like, there's a strong connection between the big picture of looking for what's happening in the afterlife, if there really is a mystery, and then her own personal identity with her father who's passed away, and them connecting through that story. I feel like that's very, very well done. It's powerful.
Well, to be fair, if you consider the 2013 game to be a reboot or a reimagining of the first game, which technically we had that with Tomb Raider Anniversary. That was really the remake, but in this new, consider it the cinematic storyline, the Square storyline. This is actually a really good follow-up in the fact that Lara was kind of just a punching bag in the previous game. And now, again, she's this badass. In the original games, she was a straight badass, didn't really have any emotion. She was like a Tomb Raider with, triple E. In this game, though, she's got her humanity. And she gets betrayed because there's a thing where every action hero's got to get betrayed at least 3 times a scene. So it's one of those things where you're not only seeing her as the badass, but you're also seeing her have to deal with the idea that these people or this person that she trusted stabbed her in the back, and now she has to go at it pretty much on her own with whatever she can find.
And are you personally enjoying the story, the connection with her father, Steven?
I have no connection with humans or fake humans, for that matter. I liked it. I would have liked to have seen more, is the problem. But again, that toes the line of you can't have a straight, huge story and good gameplay at the same time. You can, but it's never really well done. Here, it feels like a balance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a lot more connected to her father than I was connected to my child in Fallout, emotionally.
Screw Sean. Dick.
Yeah, I mean, screw Sean.
Wait, Hard Rain? Sean!
No, not that one. Although, funny you mention that because I really do think we need to get into the glitches because I've had some wonderful glitches.
I've had some pretty funny ones.
My favorite one so far happened kind of late game where the two soldiers are standing near a large campfire and they're just talking. And what's funny is that the guards, they're not really nameless and faceless. They talk. They talk about rising up in the ranks in this paramilitary organization. They talk about personal stuff. And then here comes me ducking out of a bush, taking one out with an arrow, and they're still talking. They're the guy that's dead, he's dying slowly because he got an arrow in his throat. And this other guy's like, yeah, your promotion will come any day now. Like, well, not anymore. But that's my absolute favorite. My other favorite is some of the AI. I'm right in front of them. They can't see me. It's like John Cena, just pop up, grab them, stealth.
Yeah, the AI is pretty bad.
But actually, that makes me think. Caitlin, did you happen to try out the fix that I suggested as far as the stuff not wanting to work?
I did, and I didn't have to reboot again, thankfully. But, that wasn't the only glitch I was experiencing. I was having a lot of menu glitches. I was having issues with the menu. And I was telling Eli, every time I went to go select a new skill on the second tier of skills, the game would completely freeze, and I could not get out of it because it gives you a tutorial on how that skill works, and I couldn't exit the tutorial no matter what I did. And I kept getting stuck and having to go backwards because it didn't save my place because I didn't finish at the campfire, and I was freaking out. So I'd redo a lot of segments because of that. But the other glitch I had is another menu glitch, and it's Geothermal Valley, that one zone. The minimap doesn't work unless I actually grab the minimap and shake it violently on the screen. Then all of the stuff appears. Okay, so Geothermal Valley, whenever I'm in it and I go to look at my map, it's just completely blank. And then when I grab the map and shake it violently with my mouse, the stuff appears.
You know what that is? That's actually, you don't need to shake it violently.
Oh, what do I need to do?
You need to move it on your screen so that it's
right to where the main quest is. Yeah, in the corner, the left corner.
Not even the main quest. You just need to make it so that section of the map is all that's on the screen. Once you have the map moved to where it's only that section on screen, then it'll show you all the stuff inside of it. I found that out after trying to figure out what the fuck was going on for so long.
It's bad. The zone map should be automatic. Your zone, you should be focused on it, unless you're looking for another campfire, princesses in another castle.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to deal with that crap.
Yeah. Ben, what do you got going there? I know. We'll get back to the glitches in just a second, but Ben, what do you got?
Oh, I was just gonna say with the on the glitches topic. Thank God that the tress effects that they've got with the hair the pure hair effect is working really well, because
no more madness.
I have this bug where if I don't have the pure hair on, her ponytail is it's over here, then it's over here, and it's up back here, then it goes over. It's just constantly bouncing around. And
I love if it cuts through her neck. That's the best part, though.
But I have to play with the pure hair even when it hits my performance, just because I can't deal with the ponytail that's bouncing through her model, over here.
Why do we have such an obsession with hair effects nowadays? I mean, Geralt in The Witcher 3 had his own proprietary NVIDIA hair.
It looks nice. It adds to the realism, especially when she adjusts her ponytails after she gets out of the water.
I love that.
I was thinking of that. She's such a girl. Yep.
It's a slick little move. It's like slick little animation. She's like, oh, okay, let's go. I love it.
But Eli, so I feel bad because I don't have half the glitches anybody else is reporting. I mean, you're reporting a map glitch. Ben is seeing you're cutting through people. Fred, have you had any?
Yeah, she's learning Greek surprisingly fast.
That's not a glitch. That's a feature.
You've gotta be shitting me.
She's gonna learn Mongolian, Russian.
It's so ridiculous. It might as well be a glitch.
So if she stares at anything, is she like Google Translate, where she just has to stare at it very intently before she...
I assume she already researched this stuff, and whenever she's reading it, in the field, it's actually improving her conversational Mongolian.
When are you
reading people's diaries. She's walking around snooping on their journals. Okay.
Something else I criticize heavily too, on top of how fast she learns Greek, and it's also bringing like and you guys may disagree with me on this, but the whole Cold War stuff. Can we get past that in video game making, please?
But it's completely abandoned. There are no Soviets.
Come on, don't pull the old Soviet. And now it's abandoned. Like, yeah, we still wanted to kind of shove it in Russia's face. It's abandoned. It's the thing in the
I think it's cool. I love it. I love the old Soviet stuff.
I'm burnt out on anything that's Nazi, Soviet related. It's like, let's pick another conflict.
It's not related. It's a tomb.
Fred, are you just mad because you guys kind of got the losing side or part of your family?
No, I have a US passport.
Hang on.
Italian.
Fred. When it comes to the stuff that they were doing in this game with the Soviet gulags, technically, yes, it was, a Cold War thing, but the biggest thing there was they were trying to draw on World War II stuff, which is an even bigger video game trope. They were trying to do something to where they were obviously evolving from the World War II stuff. So it wasn't directly that, but it was still, trying to drive one of the old world powers, something that people are incredibly familiar with, in order to push the storyline in it. It was still like World War II, but it was just indirect World War II.
It's treated like a relic, though. It's not.
Sure, it's not.
It's
not
just an empty place that doesn't.
That's just like Russia during the Cold War too.
I just feel like they could have picked another country that's less like Russia, just for once.
You just wanted to see France in the game. That's all it is.
If we can talk about the Prophet and why I initially supported the Trinity.
I'm not a religious man.
Why do you hate the Prophet?
Let me tell you that. Let me tell you.
We need to discuss something real quick. In case nobody's watched it, or in case nobody's played it, before you get to it, Fred. So, your main antagonist in this game is apparently the Illuminati. Again, no, it's officially a paramilitary group called Trinity, which has a really, 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 really strong religious bent. Through things you discover in game, they may have.
You think they have the religious bent?
Yeah, well,
they're the one chasing the guy with the religious bent.
They're chasing the Prophet because they feel like he insulted their religion.
The Prophet
They're
is
childish.
the problem.
But he didn't insult anybody's religion. Other people decided to follow him.
No, he's indoctrinating all along the way the Prophets. Poor, simple-minded.
Okay, hang on.
I would mute you if I could.
Both of those groups are religious.
With the Prophet or any.
Both of them are.
Both of those groups are religious. Just each one is taking a different side of the religion.
It's false. The Prophet, I know the type. Like, I know the type in real life. It's not somebody I'm excited about in real life.
Understand
and then let me finish. When you go and find the scrolls, like when you find the scrolls and they tell you the story, a lot of the scrolls early in game are guys affiliated with the Trinity, and their voice is soothing. And they're like, basically, you're like following their story, like, yeah, I see where you're coming from, you must be tired and stuff.
Soothing.
Like,
I better kill them all.
I see where you're coming from as we kill the village of children.
Gotta hire these people and then steal all their food and leave them to die. Yeah, I'm so soothing. I'm Trinity.
The bulk of the Trinity.
I'm kidding, obviously. They are horrible people. Although, like, when.
How much they love to kill people. Now, here's the thing, though. This is the question I kind of have. Is when you get to find out more about Trinity, and yes, when you get to find out more about the followers of the Prophet, I've always wondered, does Square just hate religion in general? Because every single Square has always had some major baddie be super, super religious, even in their Final Fantasy games.
I think the point is that both factions are super, super religious, and they're contrasting religious zealotry with, peaceful resistance. And I think that that's brilliant. Fred is only biased because he hasn't gotten to know the second faction yet.
I'm sorry to say, but the better question is, early on, are you guys empathizing with the Prophet?
Yes.
Seriously?
In some ways, yes. I still get the impression
he's a freak of nature.
He's making his mistakes, but I think he's genuinely a good person.
Okay, hang on. In the context of the game, I can feel like, I can have some sympathy towards the Prophet, but at the same time, I still feel like there's going to be that situation towards the end, which I haven't gotten there yet, so I'm not doing any spoilers, but I feel like there's going to be that situation at the end where they turn on you because you're trying to look for the same thing that Trinity is looking for. You just have your own reasons for it. But both of those groups are still looking at things from the same religion, the same perspective. They're just taking two different specific individual takes on that religion. They each have their own idea about what's true and what's not true, and they're trying to kill each other over that. I don't think either one of them is necessarily good or bad, but obviously Trinity is going out of their way to try to wipe out the other guys, whereas the followers of the Prophet are trying to stop them from wiping out everybody.
Well, to get into semantics without going into the plot, because again, this game did just release on Friday, and I don't want to get into the nuances of it. So Fred, shush.
No, I don't know. I don't even know.
Because as far as I'm concerned, if you don't know or haven't played the game by next week, you're on your own.
Next
and we're
week,
not gonna,
Steven, next week is XCOM 2.
Yeah, next week is XCOM. We don't get to talk about writing anymore.
Oh, we'll talk about it again. It will come up. But what I'm saying is, when we do one of these things, if we talk about the game on a subsequent show, be it the Tuesday show, where we decide what we're going to review or what we're going to look at, or even another one of these, the game's going to come up again. And we like throwing little in-jokes in. But anyway, the long and short, getting back on topic, the couple of factions that you deal with, Laura is pretty much just dropped into this place with absolutely nobody on her side. So very quickly, you find out that the game kind of does pigeonhole you into going toward one side as opposed to the other. So you don't have that open world feel. There is a rail, basically. But when you break it down, the followers of the Prophet, or descendants, let's say, because that's what they are, their entire point is they don't want anyone to get a hold of this MacGuffin, this thing that we're all chasing. They don't want you to get a hold of it. They don't want Trinity to get a hold of it. They don't even want really Lara to get a hold of it. They want it to stay in and be hidden, like any indigenous people probably would. I don't think they really care about any kind of religion. Trinity, on the other hand, don't care about anything. They really just don't care. If they see people, they're going to ask questions and shoot them while they're waiting for the answer. Trinity is like...
I feel like I disagree.
You haven't played far enough, Fred.
Yeah.
I would have to disagree with Steven on this one too, specifically because if you pay attention to Jacob's daughter in the thing, the way that they behave towards people, for the most part, anybody that's coming towards the remnants in the game, they act like you're a threat. You're somebody that they have to eliminate. Whereas, Trinity, they're treating people pretty much the same. They just have different motivations. The remnants, yes, they're trying to protect the thing, but whether they're trying to protect it for a religious reason or not, it's essentially they're still focused on the relic and what they think needs to be done with it. They're trying to preserve it as whatever way of life they have going already.
And that's technically
Trinity,
true. Yeah.
And whereas Trinity is trying to come in and take it for themselves. They're both trying to in their own sense, have control over the artifact in the game. It's just, the specific motivations between each of the people behind it. And both of them are technically part of the same religion.
Well, not necessarily, though, as we find out.
Like, in the journal entries that you find in the game, they talk about how the Prophet was an advisor to somebody in the Byzantine Empire way back when. He was still part of the same religion as them. It was just that somebody else took over and they didn't want him there. They wanted him out of the way so that they could consolidate power.
But the thing is, Trinity, when I talk about Trinity, I'm not talking about the soldiers. The soldiers don't care. They're mercs. They'll kill anything. They don't care what the mission is. The main antagonist, Constantine, he wants He wants the divine power for a totally different reason.
He does, but he works for other people who want to.
But we don't know.
And I feel like Constantine is going to end up a victim of his own organization.
Yeah,
I don't know this because I haven't gotten to the end, but I think so.
Without spoiling. Thing is, when Trinity is effectively Illuminati because they have leaders that are mentioned and they don't say what they want, they don't say what their real orders are, and I am pretty sure that midway through the game, and you're already near the end, but midway through the game there are some things you'll stumble over where you know for a fact that it's a means to an end, where Constantine is just with Trinity for a totally different purpose.
Well, I tell you what I hope, Steven, because my biggest disappointment with the 2013 game from a story standpoint is the lack of subtleties with character development. It's very it follows a line, and you're never surprised. There's never a turnaround on a character that was kind of enigmatic at first. It kind of, all the way through, characters were what you expected at first. I'm hoping that there's more to the characters in this storyline, especially in the bad guys. I feel like the bad guys, and apparently not. Caitlin seems to be saying you haven't played enough. But I'm kind of, I guess what I'm saying, like, about the Prophet and my skepticism and also the bad guys, in a way that's wishful thinking, that there's more dimension to this bad guy. At the end, you read their story through those logs. You're kind of following them. She has some sort of lung cancer or something. So they're trying to evoke some sort of human feeling that you might express towards her. So I'm hoping that it's not just black and white. She's bad, he's good, and we follow through to the end this way.
It really depends on how many action films you've ever seen in your life. Because if you've read a lot of books or if you've seen a lot of movies, the plot does kind of have a lot of instances where you're like, saw that coming. Also, if you're just familiar with Tomb Raider in general, there's a lot of betrayal anyway. It's almost as common as the scenes where you're running away from shit, which, Eli, I kind of agree with you and Ben. The first time running away from stuff, that's exhilarating. The second time, that's still exhilarating. Third time, I'm doing this because this is normal.
No, exhilarating every time for me.
Emotionally, it just really brings me back to the NATLA organization from, the early days, and how everything was about money, but they were just as ruthless. Like, I looked at, that one female character we keep talking about, and she reminds me of Jacqueline NATLA so much. Yeah. That manipulative, cunning, personality.
But that's the thing. At what point is it just a throwback, just referencing something? And at what point is it lazy storytelling? Because this is a lot of these aspects we've seen before. We've seen the anti-religion thing. We've seen the religious order wants to wipe the slate clean and get this big bad evil. I mentioned Indiana Jones for a reason, because we had this plot line before. We're just able to play it now. This is basically an Indiana Jones film.
We just clocked in 70 minutes.
Tomb Raider's always been kind of Indiana Jones. Like,
it is.
Right in the start of the game, it gives you a throwback when she's crawling through with all the scorpions and stuff. Like, right away, throwback to Indiana Jones.
But it doesn't mean the story shouldn't have any good twists.
That's true. There are a lot of good twists, and even if there were points where I was rolling my eyes, it's still been a fun ride the whole way through.
My biggest plot complaint about the first game has been, taken away from this one as far as twists and turns.
Alright, well, we clocked in 72 minutes, Steven, so it's about that time. We're gonna do it. Caitlin is gonna think of a magic number, a number between 0 and 100. We're gonna give Rise of the Tomb Raider away to somebody in the chat. We ask that if you are very closely affiliated to us, as in you are Chris Kellogg, do not vote. Do not vote in the chat. Give the game out to somebody who's getting to know us, please. And of course, if you're a good friend of the organization, then please vote along. Caitlin, do you have the number ready? Caitlin, think of a good one.
Possessed.
Yes, I do. Have one now.
Good to go? All right. So let's get rolling. Everybody, please vote in the chat a number between 0 and 100. Steven, why don't you close the show in the meantime? And as soon as that's ready, Caitlin will give us the lucky winner, and I will message the person is Timky.
I guess if we have to, because the truth of the matter is we could probably talk about Rise of the Tomb Raider for a long time. It's already shaping up to be one of the best games of 2016, as far as I'm concerned. But honestly, closing thoughts, we'll start with Eli, because he's just kind of rocking out there.
No, I think it was great. There are little issues as far as optimization and stuff like that need to be worked on. I would say that the plot line, I know while you guys were saying that, some of the stuff that they do may have been recycled from other stuff or whatever, but they've still done a good job on it and blah, blah, blah. There is no plot line you can develop at this point that isn't derived from other things. So I'm not necessarily going to look at something as far as that. I'm going to say if it was done well, then that's great. And I think they did it well in this. I think they did a damn good job with the way that they presented the story. I would say just the gameplay itself, I think they repeated some things to where hopefully they won't do too much of that. Hopefully they'll evolve into other things with the gameplay that keep it fun. And
after clocking a few dozen hours, if you had to give the game a score between 0 and 100, Eli?
I'd probably give it a 92.
Wow, solid.
Well, Ben, as the one that's actually reviewing the thing, which we'll have a review posted sometime. Ben, what are your thoughts to begin with?
So I'm definitely enjoying the game a lot. I'm running it on a pretty mid-range PC, and I've been really impressed with how good it looks. Even when I'm running it on like high or medium settings, it still looks fantastic. Texturing is just incredible, really. Like sometimes it does drop a little bit, but some textures just stand out so well that it's just jaw-dropping. It's like Witcher 3-esque. I'd say that there's a few things that I maybe thought were lacking. Like, I really have not enjoyed the side questing or the exploration. Like, the environments are amazing, but there's just not enough in them. Like, I don't think hiding a coin stash over in this corner is like filling. It's like filler content to me. It's like a far cry from what like Witcher 3 did, where they had really engaging side quests and stories in a developed world, and this just kind of feels like thrown in extras.
Oh, can I throw one added thing in there?
Well said, Vo. I agree with you.
There's one thing I have to throw in there. The $10 DLC survival mode.
Oh God, day one DLC. Come on, guys. We should know better than that.
That's a difficulty that should have been in there in the year of having hardcore difficulties and Dark Souls. How that's the only thing I can't legitimize. How,
especially since the game's so easy without it.
How they could possibly have decided we're gonna release this as DLC when it could have just been a couple of toggle switches. Man, that made me cringe a little bit. Fred, I guess I'll go to you, and then we'll go to the one that has the most time in the game.
Yeah, again, I opened up, I've got 7 hours in, I'm completely blown away, I'm enjoying every single minute of it, and I definitely look forward to spending a lot more time in this game until XCOM 2 comes out, because when XCOM 2 comes out, it's basically Tomb Raider's death sentence. In my house, it's so. But if I was to give a score after 7 hours of gameplay, which you really should not do, right now I'm at a strong. I was at 96 until Benjamin made the criticism he just made, which kind of is true. It's true what he says. It's very much filler content, and sometimes I feel like, do I need to be a completionist here?
And there's a lot of completionists out there. They like it.
But in The Witcher, like you said, I was a total completionist, and I was kind of it was justified. It felt like, I need to do this. I need to find that potion, or at least the elements for it. Whereas here, it's true. Once I find the coins or the whatever little item on the side, just okay, well, move on. It doesn't feel that rewarding. So 94.
See, that's the thing. At what point does a side quest become busy work? What is it about the side quests in some games that doesn't feel?
It can be multiple. It can be multiple things.
Some of the side quests in Witcher didn't feel all that in depth to begin with. Some of the things.
I think part of it is how you get there. Like when they just hide this coin stash in the corner of the map, that's not fun. But if I have to solve some really complicated puzzle, that's worth it. Like that's another thing. I kind of feel like the puzzles in this aren't really that challenging, and I'm not feeling as rewarded as I have with other puzzle games.
They're not.
Puzzles in Tomb Raider were always kind of not really an afterthought. Puzzles were kind of the focus. Yeah. The enemies were the afterthought. Now we have that bit of a role reversal where there are puzzles involved, but it's the combat is much heavy. Has a much heavier slant.
I'm happy with that personally.
Yeah, I also am. Yeah.
Well, but again, Fred, you also support religious fascists, so we'll skip past that one. Caitlin, as basically our official Lara Croft, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about Fred and Benjamin's attitude toward the side quests? Technically my attitude toward the side quests. At what point does a side quest become more than just a slot to fill?
It's interesting that you asked that because I felt that it was much better done in this than it has been in the last game. The thing about the side quests and the challenge tombs and the skills that you can get from them is that it's a reward-oriented game. You're not supposed to think too deeply about the coin stashes, but you get an experience bonus for each one you find. So if you're having trouble with the plot, they're there so you can go back and grind experience. That's what they're for. And it's while you're looking for a tomb, oh, hey, look, I think there's a coin stash next to me. Let me pick that up. You get experience for finding it. You get experience for finding all the pieces of paper. You get experience for everything.
She's right, 95.
No, actually.
How easily swayed.
It's funny that Eli mentioned his score was a 92 because I was thinking like a 93. And the reason is because that endurance mode DLC was not part of it. I did read a couple reviews for the endurance mode DLC, and I don't think that it should have been separate. It's not right because the endurance mode is what Tomb Raider was in the past. It's what it was when I was a kid. It's just getting as many things as you can find and trying to survive.
I can.
And it's not in the game. It's not a difficulty you can use.
I'm sorry, but this game is amazing.
It is. It's a 93.
I think we all kind of agree on that one. We're devoting an entire hour and a half.
I'm not happy with a 93. I feel like a 93.
Why? A 93 is a great score.
It is. But this game is blowing me away.
It is blowing me away too.
A 93 doesn't mean it can't blow you away. It just it means that there's.
There's this game, like the amount of art that went into it, just the talent that it took to build a game like this. I am blown away.
But that doesn't.
The divine source in my hands. Maybe it'll go up to a 94.
But maybe
I don't know. You think of how much hype went into Fallout. And the product that resulted out of that hype in comparison to the little hype that we got from the relatively little hype that we got from this release, and this release is just making I'm excited.
Okay,
I wake up in the morning, I'm excited to go play it.
That's fair enough, Fred, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing that could be improved.
No, of course not. But I feel like 93 is a little bit on the low end.
I personally
I don't think so. I think there are actually quite a few things that could use improvement in this game. It's still amazing.
A 93 is on the low end. I don't know.
93 is really high.
Yeah,
that's an A.
Hold on.
If you think a 93 is high, you're going to be shocked when I finish my review.
No, sure, don't take me. No, I mean your review is your review, Ben, and I have no say in that. But
a 93 is excellent. Yeah.
93 is an excellent score for any game. I'm just saying within the realm of Tomb Raider and what we're experiencing right now, 93 I think is a low score. Of course, 93 in general is a kick-ass game. Nobody debates that. But this is true. To me, this is truly, after 30 years of gaming, this is a truly exceptional experience, I guess is what I'm saying.
What I can say is that the very idea that this is probably the closest we're going... Honestly, this is probably the best looking game that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and to me, that's
bar none. No mods, no no environment mods, no nothing. In fact, that's where I have to actually cut Fallout out of the picture entirely, because you needed to mod the living hell out of that game for it to really be nice looking. We've got a game here that right out of the gate is absolutely phenomenally gorgeous, and Square's always been known for having very gorgeous games, but it's actually playable, which Square is not always known for having. Honestly, we can debate numbers all day and all night, but the truth of the matter is, I know that in today's day and age, if you give a numerical score to a game, if it's not like an 80, developers are slitting their wrists. But the long and short is that this is a good game. I don't know if it would have the replayability for me that some other games have. But to get back to the bit about collecting and side quests and whatnot, I like to think we've got a pretty good barometer. The worst game for collecting and side quests, definitely got to be Assassin's Creed. Anything.
Yes.
There's no need for half of the side quests or half of the collections.
Burn it.
Or for half of the collecting. I wore this just to talk about the side quests. And now on the other end of the spectrum, we have a game that did side quests really well, in my opinion, which was Witcher 3. So you've got these two ends. Whereabouts does Tomb Raider fall with its side quests? I'd say closer to the middle.
I would say honestly closer to the Assassin's Creed. I mean,
really?
What on the side quests do you do other than move to an area and then click on the item? Like, do you do anything else other than that? You just move to the area and click on the coin stash or click on this thing.
We're 90 minutes in, so Caitlin, the lucky winner.
The lucky winner was Alucard, but he can't win. So it's actually...
Definitely not.
Yeah, it's actually E.G. Crystal, which is the next closest to 25, I believe.
Very, very happy to give it to an Ethics Gaming member, obviously. So thanks, E.G. Crystal, for tuning in, and the game is yours. Let me find you, and let me find you in the chat. Say something in the chat if you haven't done so yet, so I can find you. And Steven...
Oh, there she is.
Oh, okay. Yay. Steven, it's all yours.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the final thoughts out of everybody, but you just kind of hijacked and derailed that one, Fred. Indeed, all this number talk. Anyway, the long and short is Caitlin is basically Lara Croft at this point. Benjamin is going to be reviewing it. You should look forward to his review on the site at some point. Hopefully, it'll be better than a 93 or worse than a 93. It's going to go either way. Fred, unfortunately, joined us for this one. I'm going to have to try and mute his mic every once in a while, I think. But, Fred, I am glad that you actually decided to join us. I'm also glad that
You're welcome.
That you actually do like other games other than, like, 3. So that's a nice improvement.
Yeah, it's 4 now.
And Eli, I'm glad you were able to make it without vomiting, even once. I really appreciate
I have not had that much alcohol. I've had quite a bit, but not that much.
Well, you should keep working on it. Anyway, the long and short is everybody here on this call seems to like Rise of the Tomb Raider, and for as varied a background as there is here, I think that's a pretty good hint.
Can you specify that E.G. Crystal is not one of our members, Steven, because there seems to be some misunderstanding in the chat, and Mr. Furry Messiah 22 is not happy with us right now.
Well, that's unfortunate. Believe it or not, we don't have just members watching these things. And while it is true that anybody is able to get a key, it just happens. We go by luck of the draw. We usually have a piece of software doing it. We have somebody randomly picking numbers. Things happen. Come around for another episode. I can guarantee you'll probably get more stuff. We've had non-members get stuff too, so sorry, there's no actual controversy there, but good luck. Anyway, the long and short is we all like the game. We should all be playing the game. Final thoughts, and then we gotta go, guys.
Keep playing.
Anything? Nothing? Okay. So, again, my name is Steven, OPNoobs. Every once in a while, you should check us out here on Twitch for interviews with developers, publishers, everybody in between. We even get janitors sometime. We should have the CD Projekt Red janitor on next week. So that should be fun. But check us out at opnoobs.com if you want to see any of the reviews that we do. Hopefully, Ben will have his in the next couple of days if he decides to grind it. But from all of us on the team at OPNoobs, thanks for joining us, and see you next time.
Thanks a lot, guys.